Miyamoto Musashi was a samurai who never lost in 61 duels, so it's safe to say that he knew a thing or two about self-discipline. A week before his death, he wrote a short work called Dokkodo, which translates as the way of walking alone. In this work, Musashi laid out 21 principles for living a life of discipline. In part 1 of this video, we'll explore the first 5 principles from Musashi's Dokkodo. The first principle states, accept everything just the way it is. When you refuse to accept reality as it is, you fall into delusion. And when you're deluded, you lose your ability to act effectively in the world. When you lose the ability to act effectively, life becomes harder because every action leads to failure. Success requires seeing the world clearly, and to see it clearly, you must begin by accepting it as it is. A disciplined person accepts reality to work with it, not against it. The second principle is, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Making pleasure your highest goal is one of the quickest ways to degrade yourself. This is because the fastest routes to pleasure are often through shallow and harmful habits, such as junk food, drugs, pornography, or mindless entertainment. Immediate pleasures are often harmful to our health, while things that may seem difficult at first, like running, working out, or studying, are usually good for us in the long run. A disciplined person doesn't seek pleasure for the sake of pleasure, but instead pursues activities that challenge them to grow, even if they are painful at first, leading to greater, deeper fulfillment over time. The third principle states, do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. If you feel unsure about a decision, it means there's doubt in your mind about the right course of action. The best thing to do is to hold off on making a decision, refrain from judgment, and avoid jumping to conclusions. Continue seeking the truth until all doubt is resolved. A disciplined person listens to their body, measures twice, and cuts once. They act only when they are sure the time is right, avoiding rash and impulsive decisions. The fourth principle is, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Focusing too much on yourself is often a fruitless activity. What do you gain by thinking about yourself all the time? Do you become smarter, more loving, more competent? Do you even come to know yourself better? No, it only leads to vanity. The path to wisdom, love, competence, and even self-awareness comes through action in the world. You understand yourself better by seeing how your actions manifest in the world and by observing their effects on others, not through excessive self-reflection. A disciplined person does not dwell on themselves, but reflects deeply on the world and how their actions affect it. The fifth principle is, be detached from desire your whole life long. Buddha said that attachment is the root of suffering. When you are attached to something you don't have, you suffer from the feeling of lacking it. And when you lose something you're attached to, you suffer from the feeling of losing it. A disciplined person has desires and wants things, but they are not attached to their desires. If they don't get what they want, they accept it. And because they have no attachments, they suffer no more than necessary to grow. Conclusion. By living out the first 5 principles from Musashi's Dokkodo, accept everything just the way it is, do not seek pleasure for its own sake, do not depend on partial feelings, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world, and be detached from desire your whole life long, you can build your self-discipline. This is my interpretation of Musashi's principles, and if you're interested in hearing more, stay tuned for part 2 of this series when it's released.